It's another Manly Monday, and this Manly Monday, we are talking rejection, shame, and Tylenol. This is not just gaming search on Tylenol, okay? This is dealing with the reality that rejection registers in the brain as physical pain. And in doing the tons of mental health reading I do on a regular basis, found a study where they actually gave participants acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, and they actually found that it reduced the painful emotions associated with rejection, because rejection affects the same parts of the brain as physical pain. So the article said, link in the description box below, that a broken heart is in many ways no different than a broken arm in terms of it hurts. Now, this article is from the American Psychiatric Association. And I know that one's it's a trigger for some people because of some of their older policies on masculinity. Valid concern. The reason I chose this article is it actually lists the various papers with the journal and year. So if you are interested in it, you can look it up, and I don't have to do a crap ton of links in the description box, which just bleh. So that's why I picked this particular article to link to. Also, it's over 10 years old, and I try not to use hot takes of the newest study, because unless there's replication, it's not necessarily reliable. And this thing about rejection being, you'll see how many different studies backed that up, that rejection registers in the brain as physical pain. Now, why is this on Manly Monday instead of Wellness Wednesday? Well, because men experience particular kinds of rejection because of the social construct of men doing approaching in romantic relationships. Because not only is that sort of socially expected, women are socially punished for being aggressive that way. That's documented. The reason things like, I forget which one, is it Hinge, that the women contact or whatever, there's one, and the creator of it said that because she herself was treated as desperate or crazy because she approached men. So the problem is these social constructs are so strong that no matter what we do to try to work around them, they reassert themselves. So this is going to be generational change on this one, and men need supports in the meantime in, the heterosexual environment, because rejection hurts, and because it goes, rejection hurts is weakness bad, try to ignore the rejection or intellectualize it away, and that creates a spiral of lashing out in anger, doing more antisocial behavior accordingly, getting rejected because of the lashing out, more rejection, more shame, more unprocessed pain, more lashing out, more rejection, more shame, more process, spiral, right? This is what we're going to talk about today. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK. Now, this is one of these, and like and subscribe to this channel if you like these videos and don't want to spend any money, or do all. We're at 81% of the laptop fund on coffee. Greatly appreciated. Keep it going, but I'm humbled and grateful that we're at this point. This is one of these things that is simple but not easy, and I want to be very conscious of that. The difference is, it's sort of you do it or you don't. So simple, but doing it is hard because of the risk of backstabbing, betrayal, mockery, more rejection. So I know what, the avoidance of the lashing out and the subsequent rejection and shame and pain spiral. I know it's hard, even though it's simple. And I will give you my own experiences of, admitting something hurt to somebody I thought was a friend. And then either he put it on the internet somewhere and Stalker Chan found it, or he gave it directly to Stalker Chan. And she treated it as some admission of guilt on my part. It wasn't. I just told him that comments he made to me hurt because he was echoing the assertions that Stalker Chan and other trolls make about me online. And he should know me well enough to know that's not true. So when I say I get that the fear of a nightmare scenario like that, someone mocking and shaming your admission of pain, I get it. And no, it's not any easier for women. Because again, she's crazy. And because she's crazy, she's dangerous. And they literally send lock up your daughter emails to my social media manager's mother, who they found on Facebook. So I get it. I get what the potential stakes are. The thing about rejection is the social painkiller, the social Tylenol for rejection, based on science, is when it's not absolute. So, yes, you were rejected in this one place, but you're not rejected in all places. Therefore, the rejection in this place is easier to handle. I finally fixed my lighting. It's very bright outside, so my light isn't powerful enough. So I use my screen here as a fill light. Anyway, if you wonder what the change was, that's what it was. And the challenge with this stuff is this involves other people, and you can't control other people, right? So what do you do when you don't have anyone to talk to about this stuff? And I know that people certainly don't want people telling them, well, the people I'm aware of, they don't want people telling them, oh, you're totally right, when you're not. Most guys I know absolutely want the opposite of that. They don't want people shining them on. And so understanding is not guaranteed. If you're not around people who are emotionally mature, you're probably not going to get it. And of course, we were all teenagers, so no one was emotionally mature. And if you have enough bad experiences, then trying again, that stay in the cave impulse in our brain that's designed to keep us safe, not help us thrive, it can be so strong that it's very hard to take risks as an adult. And you have to keep in mind that you're not that helpless kid anymore. And the challenge there is getting over that helpless feeling, because no amount of you're not helpless takes that away, because you don't believe it until you believe it, right? The only thing that takes that helpless feeling away is rejecting other people who are treating you badly. And the theory goes, I don't want to reject anybody because being rejected hurts. I don't want to hurt people the way I was hurt. And so that keeps you stuck with people who continue to not treat you well. And I had to make a pivot to, if I am upfront with somebody, like I was that person who was really not my friend, and I found it the hard way. If I am honest, saying, this is a problem, this is what's bothering me, no blame, just this hurts. Not you did something wrong, this hurts. If they respond well, cool. If they respond badly, that is what I am rejecting. Not the person, not an element of their identity, not anything but the behavior. And if the behavior doesn't stop, well, we're going to go our separate ways. That I can live with. That lets me sleep at night. I stand by that. And yes, that does mean that people are going to go rip me on the internet. But I know what happened. And again, I'm at the point where anything I put anywhere, even if it's a private conversation, I do so knowing somebody may put it online. I am acutely aware of it. Am I perfect regarding that? No, but I'm aware it's a risk. And sometimes you have to do it anyway. And, there's a mindset thing of you can choose to fear the people who haven't rejected you yet because of past rejection, or you can choose to appreciate the people that haven't rejected you yet because of the rejection you've received. And being really aware of the moments you were accepted. And this takes some practice, right? Because if the painful thing is gonna be really big, and the painful thing, the rejection, can get in the way of acceptance. Because yes, you may intellectually recognize, okay, somebody validated you there, they listened there, all that stuff, but the pain's still there. So, brains don't like pain. So the pain may be less, but you're still in pain. And then people start going, yeah, but what if that doesn't last? What if they turn on me tomorrow? And it's a whole mindset change of they might, but right now, they're not. Right now, they're accepting me. And again, I told that story about myself to go, look, I am not saying this as somebody who's never been fucked over, who's never been stabbed in the back, who's never been lied to. It's been very public, and the people who did it blamed me for it. So I get the shame. I get the blame. I get the guilt. I get the fear. But in order to be resilient in rejection and get through it to a place that, you do feel truly accepted, you need hope that you can be accepted. And now there's some self-esteem work there. And unfortunately, a lot of the messages directed at men are not great for self-esteem building. We know that men function best in environments where there are rules and there are consequences for breaking the rules. But then there's gotta be some way that they can be heard, that their feelings can be heard, that they're allowed to push back a little bit. And that is as, I try to create that environment on the Discord server. Obviously, exceptions apply. Some people will just not accept any sort of correction. Like, hey, you broke the rules. We try to make the rules as clear as fucking possible. But some people just, and they take to the internet, and they're shitty, and they think that's gonna make us change, and it won't. I'm so used to being hated for stupid bullshit at this point. Does it wear me out sometimes? Fuck yeah. Does it change my behavior? Well, what I've realized I gotta do is start giving people fewer chances, start rejecting people earlier. So shit like that private conversation ending up on the internet on a stalker blog doesn't happen again. Lesson learned, right? And that's hard because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want people to feel rejected because I know what it's like to be rejected. But the more you learn to handle it, the more you realize that it isn't the end of the world. and that how you handle it does have a absolute impact on whether you spiral up after a rejection or whether you spiral down. And the first step here is the hardest, because they find that the people who do get some acceptance somewhere, the rejection, the ostracism is not absolute, are less likely to lash out in anger and behave badly when they're rejected. So if somebody lashes out at you because you rejected something about them, recognize that this is a person who clearly has nothing in their life. And when I think about the people who'd have done it to me, yeah, that kind of tracks. There is personal responsibility here. So don't be that guy. This is Manly Monday. I can say that guy, even though I use guy as a gender neutral term. I refer to myself as a guy. But don't be that guy can be kind of powerful, because if you're lashing out in anger at somebody who isn't the core of your pain and therefore doesn't know what you're on about, that is behavior that deserves to be rejected. You cannot expect people to take that as some sort of loyalty test. That's abuse. That's unhealthy. And that may hurt to hear, but it's true. If you are lashing out in anger at a person who didn't cause it to see if they'll take it and therefore you can trust them, why should they trust you? You just took something out on them that didn't start with them. See what I'm saying? It's not fair. And so the first step, like I said, is the hardest, because it means curbing that urge to lash out when you do have no support. And again, I had to do this myself. I had to drop pretty much every friend except one that I had. 3 people if you count family. And the stalker found out about that too and made that my fault, when the truth is the falling out with those family members is they blamed me because Stalker Chan knew where they lived and freaked out that she was going to come and bust their door down and harm their children. And then they flip-flop because I found out the hard way. That was bullshit, performative nonsense. And they freaked out because she posted that she was at an amusement park near their house. And that was somehow something I was supposed to do something about. And then when I said I have to cut off all contact with anybody who's still in contact with her because the police told me to, because people were passing shit back and forth, they wouldn't. So if you see things about family members hating me, that's what that is. And was that a rejection? Sure. You know, family members choosing this person over me, sure, that's a rejection. Deep. And then people lied about it. That sucks too. But I can't... What this stuff does is try to induce a provocation. You know, they want me to go out and blast them and name names and do all this, and it takes self-control not to. Because the Stalker Chan keeps going, she's harassing me. She's Darvoing the shit out of me. And I haven't named her since like 2015. Because, and legally I can, because I'm telling the truth, but why? Why give her that attention? That's what she wants. She wants to create a narrative. And is this difficult? Yes. Because it's not only a rejection of me and my humanity by people who should have known better, because it wasn't just those family members, it was friends who wouldn't cut this chick off. And, you know, a cop finally said to me, your friends are not helping you. And that, I couldn't stop someone from stalking me because of the people around me. And, you know, so I had to cut off everybody but 2 or 3 people. And did they take it well? No. Did they spin a bunch of untrue stories? Yes. Was it hard? Yes. Do I eat shit to this day because of it? Yes. Was it the right thing to do and ultimately better for me? Absolutely. But I get how hard that is. I get how hard when you have nothing to practice self-control and restraint and be the bigger person. But trust me, it does pay off. And it was actually gaming that taught me that, not the year of super expensive therapy paid out of pocket that I went through. You know, right before Gamergate happened, that's the year, like end of 2012 into 2014. That sounds like 2 years, but it's actually just like 14 months. I was in intense trauma therapy. And then this shit hit the fan with Gamergate like soon after that, right? And it was the nastiness of Gamergate that actually made me realize, no, in order to gain respect in a community, you have to show you can take a few hits. And yes, those people who can do that are the minority, but that's why it matters. And the minute I started going, I don't have to retaliate on every slight. I don't have to come out swinging. I don't have to be the biggest, baddest, meanest person there. People want more from me than that. And you know what? I can be restrained. This isn't that. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. So let's try it. And you know what? It worked better. And so that's the reason I went through all of that personal history, is I'm not just lecturing you from a place of, well, this is easy, sitting in like a gilded tower who's never had any hardship. No, I know how fucking hard it is. I know how hard it is to go from nothing to something. That's the hardest part. Because once you have people you can talk to, once you have people you can trust, then it's way easier to deal with rejection, because one, you have a support system. Two, it's not complete rejection. It's not utter and total ostracism. And that's what this article says. It says, under social pain relief, it may take time to heal from a bad breakup or being fired, but most people eventually get over the pain and hurt feelings of rejection. When people are chronically rejected or excluded, however, the results may be severe. Depression, substance abuse, and suicide are not uncommon responses. Long-term ostracism seems to be very devastating, Williams, the doctor quoted on this, says. People finally give up, you know? And it says, in that case, psychologists can help people talk through their feelings of exclusion, DeWall says, another person quoted for the article. The problem with that is, you know, a lot of psychologists are not really up with, say, furry communities or things like that, and have negative attitudes about video games. So people who watch my content have bad experiences in therapy, which are another rejection, which is why I do what I do, right? Now, this next quote is true. A lot of times, these are things people don't want to talk about, the feelings of exclusion, that is. And because rejected people may adopt behaviors such as aggression that serve to further isolate them, psychologists can also help people to act in ways that are more likely to bring them social success. Now, great if you feel accepted and understood by a psychologist. If a psychologist doesn't understand your online passions, you're not going to be able to build that trust, right? Hence the problem. A lot of nerds, especially nerd guys, have finding therapy that works for them. And it's really fucking expensive to pay someone week after week to tell you, hey, don't lash out. What I suggest, because I've done it, and like I said, I brought all that past stuff up because, yeah, people will try to shame you. People will try to humiliate you. They do not control your feelings. If you own your hurt, if you can admit to yourself, I am in pain, that is the strongest thing you can do. Let me give it to you in a video game example. If you ignore your health bar in a video game, you're gonna hit a fail state a lot more than if you keep an eye on when you're taking too much damage. That makes absolute sense in gaming, right? But in life, that didn't bother me. I don't care. Fuck her. That bitch, I don't need her. When real, that's ignoring your health bar. That's continuing to attack, and the Silksong boss is going boom, boom, and you only have 5 max of health, and it hits for double. So 1, 2, 3, you're done. If you don't recognize, hey, taking that many hits has a bad effect on me and I keep failing out, you're never going to beat that boss, right? But we do it in life all the time. We deny that hit we just took did double damage because it's annoying that it does double damage. And in that game, there are way too many bosses that hit for 2, but that's why I'm using this metaphor, right? We can't ignore social pain. We can't ignore the pain of ostracism. We cannot pretend that it's not real, because then we will spiral into antisocial behavior. And some people are so dissociated from it that it is really hard. Like, I know people who started feeling their feelings and they had nightmares and body pain and all this stuff. And yeah, when that finally starts to process after years of suppression, it sucks. And that's why I've, created the communities I have and the service I have, so you can talk to people who have been through it, not just a doctor who may have studied it in school. And, things like exercise and all of that, I talked about it on Friday. Easier said than done, but if you have bad experience with school and sports, if that's part of the ostracization, then that first step is really difficult too. It is possible, though. And I see guys in the comment sections of quite a few videos obviously lashing out, and their issues are not with me. I'm just a safe target to take it out on, but I'm not going to take it because I do care about their long-term happiness. And I know the social consequences of spraying your misery everywhere. And guys see women do it, especially in kind of the umbrella of feminism, and don't see the social consequences for that. That is so limiting when women are just trauma dumping all over the internet all the time. It's almost a cult-like behavior, because the only places that will really tolerate that for long are those very high-tension feminist spaces that are encouraging them to do it in public. Anybody searching your social media when you look for a job is going to see that stuff and go, no, we don't want this as an employee. I mean, I even suffer social consequences for talking about my PTSD diagnosis. People assume I'm crazy and unhinged. I know I'm one of the more stable people because I've done a fuck ton of work. And that's why I do this content, because there is a real gap. It's an underpants gnome style gap between professionals saying this is what works and people learning how to apply it in those early stages when the pain is really intense. We talk about loneliness a lot. We don't talk about ostracism enough. And they're different things. Someone can be lonely because people aren't available, you're away for a job thing. That's not ostracism. Ostracism is being kicked out of the social order. It is a new level of intense. And I do think ostracism is what we're dealing with in these communities. And the only thing out there that's giving language to that pain, language to feeling like a loser, language to being walked on, is the manosphere. It rolls around in that. The problem is that the prescription to solve the problem that the manosphere delivers in various forms is wrong. It's not women's fault, because women are all individuals. There is no one mass body that is women, right? Women are not the horde or the flood from Halo, right? And if you think about them that way, you're gonna just keep getting rejected. Not because you're a man, not because of all these other things, because your behavior is reflecting the fact that you are viewing women as alien monsters, right? As opposed to controlling what you can control, which is you. And again, that self-control early on is difficult. Being more conscious about what you say, and I assiduously stick to facts. You know, working as a journalist in multiple forms has really helped me out with this, because I suspect it, can I prove it, is invaluable to self-control here. You know, do you know that bitch was out to get you all along? Do you know that bitch was looking to just humiliate you? No, you don't. You can't see in her head. Do you know people expect you to mind read? Some women do. Guess what? You're allowed to reject women who demand that. Oh, but nobody wants me. You don't know that. And if you keep submitting to people where you see red flags just because your self-esteem is low and you think that, you know, you have to jump at the first woman who will tolerate you, you're gonna keep ending up in untenable situations. I guarantee you that is not all women. You will see that there are women who are more mature. Okay, if you subscribe to the manosphere thought that, hey, the minute they're legal, that's the ideal woman. Yeah, you're going to get people who are mature, right? Think consciously. And if someone rejects you, you do have the right to reject the rejection. I do all the time, you know? But it's not that bitch, that whore, that all, no, that slut. No. They're wrong. She's wrong about me. I'm not that guy. My intentions were good. You know, she thinks I'm creepy. Well, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Some of them stink. I knew my intentions were good. I knew I had no intent to harm her. Her loss. But that requires a bit of self-esteem, right? And that really is the hard part, because I've watched the content aimed at men. Self-help columns beat guys down. Manosphere content goes, like I said, what a loser you are and all that stuff. Even certain sports coaches run guys down as character building. And it doesn't build character. It builds self-loathing. Focus on those good intentions. Are you helpful? Are you considerate? You know, a lot of guys may not be great with words, but they're acts of service type people. That matters, even if other people don't notice. You can only control your effort, you know? And even if it's something simple as, like, the person who rejected me doesn't deserve to watch me lose my shit over this. They don't deserve me to sink to their level and start calling a bunch of names and sound like, you know, a Timu misogynist, right? The cheapest form using these terms about women that really don't apply. I've never understood the calling a woman who rejected you a slut. But it's happened to me so many goddamn times. And I'm not even talking romantic shit. I'm talking rejecting a guy's opinion on a work thing. Fucking slut. What does that have to do with anything? You know, you get into the barren, slut, fat. Women are more likely to call you fat, in fairness. Guys don't tend to go there. Guys tend to go after reproduction. But what does that have to do with anything that I think your opinion sucks? It doesn't. It's just nastiness flung because you're in pain. And when you do that, you give people valid reasons to reject you instead of not giving them that, because people are always watching. And if you behave better, curse them all you want in private, don't write it down. Learn from the Johnny Depp trial. I have had to tell guys, delete that, don't send that. Let's talk about your feelings, not setting your ex-girlfriend on fire, because that, we're still in the danger zone of her falsely accusing you of shit, so don't give her ammo. And people don't like that at the time, but a friend who cares about you will tell you that stuff because they're trying to protect you when you're wounded and not thinking clearly, right? And those are often the friends that people reject because, it felt like a criticism at the time. But those are the people that have you back, that are looking out for you when you can't see. And that's not the same as running you down and telling you suck and all that. It's, hey, this behavior, don't do this. And when people are so deep in rejection, that's the stuff they get blinded to. And that's where guys go really, really wrong. And that's when really unfair things happen. Notice I said unfair. I am not blaming the victim here. But you are the only one, and I say this from experience, I had to do it. You are the only one who can pull yourself out of that shame and rejection spiral where you lash out, get rejected, feel shame, lash out more, can't feel the shame, get rejected, lash out more, can't feel the same, get rejected. Like, in that spiral, your behavior is the problem, even though the original rejection that started you on that spiral is unfair. And like I said, it's simple, but it's hard because it's feeling helpless for a moment. But if you can feel helpless and feel the pain and break that spiral, people do notice. People do notice when someone, trust me, people say it all the time, that they respect that I keep my head up. And keeping my head up does not involve being completely muzzled. The people stalking me do not have the right to take away my ability to tell my story. I don't name names. They take it personally, but I do not name names. And that is my right. I have the right to my story. You have the right to your story. You have the right to say that rejection really hurt me. And the great thing about that is it shows the mature people around you. It shows the compassionate people around you. And it shows the people who aren't. And as much as that kind of secondary rejection hurts, it is invaluable. Because you can go bye-bye to those people earlier. And that's what I've realized I got to start doing more often. When someone's a dick about shit like this, and they're so up in their own denial that they can't be there for you, they may not be good to have around. It's better to have, 2 or 3 really great friends than 20 shitty ones. You will actually feel accepted by those 2 or 3 people instead of feeling rejected in a crowd with, those 20 so-so friends that, yeah, you hang out with and you play games with, but you can't really talk about anything difficult because you don't trust them. And at that point, you have to decide, are there reasons to trust them? Or do you just have trust issues that need to be worked on? But that's a video for another time. Maybe I'll do trust issues on Wellness Wednesday. There we go. That's what I'll do. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Or if you want to sign up for a Leanna Care session and work on this rejection stuff, I work with a lot of people on the rejection stuff, and it is effective. Coffee.com/LeannaK is to donate. Link in the description box if you want to sign up for yourself. Like and subscribe if you like this content. You just want to sit passively and take it all in on your own. All good. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And there we are. Thanks for watching Manly Monday.